Addiction.
They won't work with ICE, and they let bad guys, they let them out on the street.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
We cannot and the world should not tolerate an Iranian regime that is trying to choke off the entire world's economy.
The Zimmer News Team. And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Well, welcome into Wake Up Missouri. It seems like deja vu all over again. But here's what happened in the White House yesterday with the president's response to the Iran response.
After reading that piece of garbage they sent us, I didn't even finish reading it. They said, I'm not going to waste my time reading it. I would say it's one of the weakest right now. It's on life support. They understand these are all medical people. Dr. Oz, life support is not a good thing. Do you agree?
The ceasefire is now on life support.
I love how Trump, no matter who's in the room, starts talking to him about whatever's on his mind. It could be little kids there for an Easter egg roll. He'd be like, Iran, they're a bunch of losers over there. Right. Don't you agree, kids? Now it's a bunch of doctors in there. It's like life support. You know what that means.
Jennifer Bukowski in for Stephanie Bell. I'm Randy Tobler, John Marsh alongside, and Drake Whitman.
Here's our new negotiator, Dr. Oz.
Yeah, Dr. Oz hates it. Dr. Oz thought it was garbage. He prescribed it that way.
You know what, though? He answers whatever is the issue on the question or on his mind, but he always finds a way to relate it to who's in the room, right?
Yeah, he includes them in it, which is good. He's a good host.
That's a great communicator, right? He reads the room, he knows who's in the room, and then he finds a way to make it something about and brings them into the conversation. So it's really, really good. Well, he'll be in China starting tomorrow, and we're just seeing that he's going to bring Larry Fink and, who else? Some other tech giants along with him.
Musk.
Elon's going to be there.
There's a whole list of them.
So he and Elon have reconciled their differences, right? Everything, they're having a kumbaya again. Everything's good.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about Trump is he doesn't take things personally. He's got a thick skin. Like Marco Rubio's his top guy. They were in an all-out brawl back in 2016, you know?
Little Marco.
Little Marco. And little Marco was making fun of Trump's little hands and all the rest of it.
And so a ceasefire, when a ceasefire is on life support, that means kinetic action is just on the brink of happening, right? We're just there. Precipice of more action.
Yeah, the fire may not be ceased much longer, huh?
Well, I don't know. People are, even folks who are pretty ardent supporters of the president and whatever happens are beginning to wonder how long they can withstand the gas prices, the ripple effects of fuel prices throughout the economy, and, the Iran continuing to play rope-a-dope with Trump. And I don't know how much patience he has. He's telegraphing he's running out of patience. He's saying it. But you think, Jennifer, he's going to do anything while he's in China? You think anything would happen just as a Trumpian surprise move? All of a sudden, bombs are dropping out of planes and we're taking over the Straits of Hormuz and God knows what else?
I think it's possible, and I think that's what's great about this president, too, is that other presidents, you'd be like, well, we know that he won't be doing more things while he's... But this president, you can't know that. And he makes that's an intentional choice.
And China has been eerily silent on this whole matter. I mean, you really haven't heard much of them. Now, there's been some speculation that they may be supplying munitions and God knows what else, John, Jennifer, through back channels, through the land routes. But either they're standing by and watching Trump suffer politically, and he is, and sort of, stirring things up and poking the bear. And then I don't know if anyone anticipated what happened at the Straits throughout all this. But on the other hand, if Trump, maybe they're silent because they're being silenced. Maybe it's like, ooh, hey, Trump means business. And if we do anything in Taiwan, Trump means business. So maybe an action to really reinvigorate the war would be a message sending to Xi. I don't know. It's an interesting time. We'll have to see. Speaking of China, did you see where this California mayor of a small town there is being charged with acting as an agent for China? Did you see that story?
I did. Yeah.
I thought
that's wild.
Okay, so there was the driver for Senator Dianne Feinstein.
Then there's Fang.
Then we have Swalwell.
Bang Bang Derek Swalwell.
What did it? when is it that people are going to finally get the message that, if you're in California and someone from China wants to be your friend, you better vet them a little bit before you elect them, sleep with them, or have them as your driver.
But this was the next step, because this wasn't a chauffeur. This wasn't someone running around in circles like the Eric Swalwell one. She got elected as mayor of, what town was it over there?
Arcadia.
Yeah, Arcadia.
And that's, Arcadia, Southern California, but he's been in SoCal. That's upscale as it gets.
Is it really?
It's like Beverly Hills.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there you go. She probably brought big Chinese money and probably
exactly. That
influence,
helps.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, she was helping them run their propaganda.
Oh, look, she's got a little cross on her chest. Oh, isn't that sweet? She got a little cross here on her necklace. I see this. Oh, wonderful. We could talk about pulling the wool over Californians' eyes. My God. All I have to do is wear a cross, and all of a sudden, you can be a Chinese agent, you can be a terrorist, whatever.
I wonder how they caught her.
I don't know. Chinese. Crazy. Californians, I tell you, they're so gullible. What is it about California? Are they just so intoxicated with the beautiful climate and the air and everything that they just forget about common sense? They elect Gavin Newsom for governor.
Yeah, that one.
You heard about?
They elected Kamala Harris as AG and then senator.
There you go. But maybe they're going to get it right with Spencer Pratt. I mean, I don't know. Isn't that great to watch? I mean, he's gone viral.
Don't
it's so fun.
get your hopes up too high with that.
Well, we're learning a little bit more. We're going to cover it more. Hauswirth's going to join us. Brian Hauswirth will be at 6:35. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Ahmaud Hardy shooting over the weekend. Not a whole lot more fact known about that, but we'll talk further about that. Now, Drake's nodding his head. Drake, do you want to join in?
Do you just sleep under a rock? Like, I'm trying to figure it out.
We got shot
Randy.
in the leg. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that is a lot more than what we knew yesterday. We knew he got shot yesterday as the show ended.
I know, and I did. You know what? You stole my thunder, and I had guilt all day because yesterday was Sammy's birthday, daughter Sammy's birthday, and I was getting ready to talk about it, and then this news broke, and I didn't get to it. So I wanted.
So you save your daughter's birthday till the last segment, is what I'm hearing.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Sammy.
I want to say, and today's Helene's birthday.
Happy
birthday, Helene.
And so I don't know. It's just this is a tough time to have a birthday because if it's Mother's Day, and then your birthdays cluster around that, it's a tough time to have a birthday.
Well, this Ahmaud Hardy thing is a really big deal. He's our star running back, right?
Yeah,
pretty much.
He's the man.
Poor Drink. He gets some bad luck sometimes with these
know.
players. They're saying, one of the articles I read said that they hope that he can play, but I mean, being shot in a major muscle group in your leg, Randy, I mean, what do you think? How long does that take to recover?
I don't know. I don't know. Do we know what caliber it was? I don't know. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Apparently, 3 of the guys that got arrested for that went to high school and played football. This is just a rumor. I haven't confirmed this with Ahmaud Hardy.
Yeah, and that's, they did say he was shot in the leg, but they didn't say if he had Randy had hit in a bone or had nerve damage or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you don't know how bad vascular damage was. And, I mean, when you're an elite athlete like that, an injury that most of us would recover from enough to live a normal life or our normal lives, that may really,
to compete against the other elite athletes.
That's right. Because you're talking about, fractions of a second in terms of speed or strength or, jumping ability or whatever. So we'll have to see. I don't know. And then I was fascinated with this. The Supreme Court is just kicking some butt these days. I love this Supreme Court. Mostly. Almost always. But they get it wrong once in a while. If they'd only consult with me. But the court cleared the way for Alabama to maybe claw back a district that would likely go from blue to red. Did you see that? Jennifer?
Yeah, I didn't see that the Supreme Court. Yeah, I did, actually.
Supreme
they did.
Court yesterday
so
afternoon.
Redistricting has been going our way.
The redistricting. So it's a long story. But
today's a very big day for redistricting here in Missouri with our own Stephanie Bell at the Missouri Supreme Court with her partner Mark Ellinger arguing to try to keep the Missouri First map.
Oh, wow.
And that's what Denny Hoskins is coming on at 7:08 to talk about.
Yeah, he'll be about the Missouri First map, which
our Secretary of State
7-1 rather than whatever. But The Supreme Court had actually endorsed a racially gerrymandered 2 black majority districts in Alabama in 2020. And then in 2023-ish, the legislature came back and took another swing at it. And a lower court said, nope, you can't do that. They wanted to undo that. Well, then a special officer or a special marshal or one person created a new district, created a new map that resulted in 2 districts. And it was challenged, and the Supreme Court said you can't do that. There are no more, based on our last decision from last week in Louisiana, you can't do that. So they're allowing they may be able to go back to a congressional map that was blocked by a lower court as racially discriminatory because it took away what's called the minority majority deal. It's complicated.
It's very exciting though, because it's not just this cycle. A lot of states we won't be able to fix the maps in time for 2026, but these minority and majority districts you see them throughout the country, and everywhere except Florida, they're voting blue for the blue team. Florida has some minority and majority districts that vote red, but even if you break those up, I think the given area will still be Republican. So this could really flip the balance of power in Congress, which is good because, it's racially drawing lines is going to perpetuate racism about how people of a certain melanin level think, vote, and act. And so you got to stop doing that. That's what the Supreme Court said. In a case, by the way, that Eddie Grime out of Kansas City, a lawyer, argued before the Supreme Court of the United States. What a career win for him.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
Congratulations to him on that.
So this is great. I don't know. So this Supreme Court case today about Missouri First, what's the argument? What?
They're arguing that the referendum, they submitted those signatures, that should prevent the map going into effect.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll unpack that with Denny Hoskins at 7:08. We wish Stephanie and Mark well as they do their arguments today. John will come up and argue for the Daily DC Rundown when we come back.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
The oil came out of Hormuz. That's a lot. But, with time, it's like they go into Texas, they go into Louisiana, they go into Alaska, a lot of Alaska. Alaska's, sort of, it seems like very far away from Asia, but it's actually a relatively short trip by comparison to other locations they have to go to get oil. And they go into Alaska. In fact, our big problem is we're building bigger docks.
Well, that's Trump talking about oil and this conflict. Here's John with the Daily DC Rundown.
President did say Monday the ceasefire with Iran is on life support after Iran's response to the latest U.S. peace proposal. He's rejected Iran's reply as totally unacceptable and called it a piece of garbage. The Iranian government insists it demanded only their country's legitimate rights and no concessions in the response. President expected to encourage China to pressure Iran into making a deal to end the war during his visit to Beijing. Also, Taiwan high on the list with President Xi. President Trump says he aims to suspend the federal gas tax for what he calls a period of time. He says, I think it's a great idea. Yep, we're going to take the gas tax off for a period, and when gas goes down, we'll phase it back in. But suspending the excise taxes, 18.5 cents for gas, 24.5 for diesel, requires an act of Congress. And when Americans who were on the cruise ship that was hit by the hantavirus outbreak arrived back in the U.S., most of them brought to the University of Nebraska Medical Center in Omaha, which has specialized facilities to monitor and treat people exposed to infectious disease. Quarantine unit, the only federally funded facility of its kind, was used during COVID and also during the Ebola scare. Meanwhile, CDC downplaying the risk from the virus on the average American.
I tell you, 24 cents a gallon on diesel would make a huge difference, at least temporarily, for a lot of folks. I'm telling you.
And then Missouri's tax is 29.5 cents. So maybe we can get the governor to put that one on hold like they did in Georgia.
Huh. Well, they got to pay those construction guys that are pretty much everywhere along I-70 with something.
Got that right. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, I drove to St. Louis over the weekend, and that was a trek. On and off 40. All these overpasses are not just gone.
Yeah, they blew them up.
Yeah, Lake of the Woods gone.
Everyone, when I've talked with folks about the gas tax, we talked about it yesterday. It's like, well, how are we going to pay for roads? The way they did before the slush fund called the 1913 income tax. Originally, taxes were temporary. They sunset. They were designed for a specific purpose to raise levies for a war, for a road, for a whatever, and then they went away. Or ongoing, there is a specific purpose for a specific tax. Maybe that rekindles the discussion here. It's like, why don't we just have a road tax rather than the slush fund that the politicians have, where they can find reasons to spend the money that are there in their pot so they can buy more votes?
Isn't that what they do gas tax for? Is supposed to be for the roads?
Supposed to be for the roads.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a good point. The point I'm making is, yes, let's go back to where taxes, you want to have a daycare, a subsidy? Then we're going to charge people a daycare tax.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll give people
I don't remember
a pause for
agreeing that we're going to just pay taxes to Medicaid for people to take care of their moms and stop by and bring them groceries or cook a meal for them, things that family members should be doing anyway.
Right.
But they expanded the definition of Medicaid in a bunch of these different states, and that's where you see all this fraud. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to have a tax to support, this or that program, well, then you know what it's going for rather than a big slush fund.
$3 billion for the I-70 project.
Oh, yeah, baby. When we come back, we're talking more Ahmad Hardy, get into the details on that, what it may mean for the Tigers in the upcoming season. You're listening to Wake Up Missouri with Jennifer in for Stephanie. I'm Randy, John, and Drake. Be back. Southeast Conference making waves, making bowl games. Who knows where they might go with the right mix of players and coaching. But then a little bit of a bump in the road over the weekend. Brian Hauswirth joins us to fill in some of the details about the shooting of the star running back. Tell us, Brian, what's going on?
Yeah, we've got a lot of good information, and it's a terrible case, obviously, but some new information. A lot of it really comes from a couple of Mississippi outlets because they have released a few more details that we were not able to get from the Mizzou statement. But the good news from the Mizzou statement, I think that's most important. Ahmaud Hardy was shot, yes, at a concert, but he's undergone surgery. He is in stable condition. We do know from the Laurel Leader Call newspaper, Randy, in Laurel, Mississippi, and from a TV station, WJTV is the outlet. In fact, I quote them in our web story as well. He was shot in the upper leg. We know that. He's had surgery. And Pete Thamel from CBS has reported that as well. But we know he's had surgery. It's apparently been successful, that he's in stable condition. A lot of people have asked, what happened? Was it, sort of a
random
deal?
Do we know?
We don't know that right now. We do know this. The Laurel Leader Call paper in Mississippi is saying it happened at a biker club in Laurel, Mississippi. And the incident happened after an outdoor rap concert ended. The police sergeant quoted in the newspaper down there saying it was a melee. At least 2 people were wounded. They say possibly a third, so I don't know if a third person was shot, didn't go to the hospital or that, but that is the way the outlet described it. By the way, I did reach out directly to the police chief in Laurel, sent him an email, the chief, and I've not heard back yet. But I'm looking at this building that it just looks like an old, like a decrepit building that this concert was in. Based on it, looks like it, paint's falling off, etc. But that's where the event was. Mizzou is saying Ahmaud Hardy is deeply loved by his teammates, coaches, friends, family, that they stand by him through this difficult time, offering our love, prayers, strength, and support. So he is. It's a sad situation. But people are saying that it was successful. So we pray for him, and I know that Mizzou statement, considering that the statement was successful, and he's in stable condition.
Okay, so he's a running back.
Mm-hmm.
He got shot in the leg.
Yeah, not good.
This is not good. I mean, it's never good
Could
to
be
get
worse.
shot.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he was not shot in a vital or the chest or something. But you wonder if there was vascular injury. Certainly, there had to be some muscular injury. You wonder about tendons, ligaments. You wonder about bone,
Right.
So we don't know really many details about the surgery. I imagine that will come out, don't you think, at some point, right? Fans will want to know.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I mean, it's all part of the investigation right now. We know that he was taken from the TV report to Forest General Hospital in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Apparently, the concert was supposed to be in Hattiesburg, but they moved it to Laurel, the station says. As far as the specifics, and Randy, you're a doctor, I don't... I don't know what kind of gun was used. I don't know what kind of
know the caliber, which would be important.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I think it is.
A 22 is one thing.
Right.
It's a 9mm, that's a different, or 45, exactly. That's a different deal.
But, I'm confident the doctors, they're doing the best they can.
Man alive. Can you imagine if your drink, what you're thinking? It's like, holy cow, this puts a crimp in my... in my season.
It doesn't have any other 300-yard rushers in the mix.
You keep in mind he was second for the Doak Walker Award. Yep. I believe he should have won that, by the way. Jeremiah Love, notwithstanding, great career at Notre Dame out of CBC in St. Louis. That said, and I think most importantly, I don't disagree, and people are thinking about that too, about the season. The most important thing to think about right now is Ahmaud and in his health, and we'll worry about the season. But I know that it's in the back of people's mind what's going to happen there. But hopefully he'll be able to recover. We'll just give it some time, and I'm sure. And that's something the statement said from Mizzou Athletics. We got it at 10:40 yesterday, I believe. The statement. Well, you were on the air, I believe.
Yeah,
when
we were on the air when it broke.
So
right before we went off the air.
Yeah. So it would have been, let's say 8:40. They put that out. because I came in, it was just crazy, but I came in and brought that statement into you.
Yes, you
They
did.
said, well, we will give you more updates as details become available, or as they can. I'm paraphrasing. That's not the exact word, but I do have a detailed story up 93ontheeagle.com from that statement, and also I linked to WJTV and the Laurel Leader paper. That newspaper did a very good job. They did a very good job. TV as well, covering this. I mean, you can tell they have they obviously are in that area. They have sources they can talk to, and they've got details. Just sounds like chaos at this, and chaos, gunfire at the end of the concert.
A melee, they say.
Yes, that's right.
Hey, Randy, talk to us about the a potential injury like this with vascular issues and nerve damage and all that when somebody's shot. And there's a lot in your upper leg that's pretty critical.
Well, you hope that it was just in the belly of the muscle, right? On the inside of the leg there, on the inside of your thigh. If it's just the belly of the muscle, there'll be muscle damage. That can repair. But as we were talking earlier, a repaired muscular injury in any one of us, except for Drake, an elite athlete of his own, we wouldn't notice it. You'd recover and you'd go on with your life. But with an elite athlete like that, where millimeters or inches or make the difference, I just think that it could have a devastating impact on a career. And if there was vascular injury, depending on the delay from the time of the vascular injury, that could result in downstream blood supply. Could there be problems with the lower leg, the foot? Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, long-term disability from stuff like that, right?
And what Randy is saying, he's a doctor, folks. He knows these issues, and I totally John, great question.
But it's all speculation.
But I think and that's very important. Also, what kind of gun was used matters, because the bullet fragment, etc. There's one other person we should mention and quote here. It's a guy by the name of Pete Thamel, Thamel. He is he's a really good reporter. I don't quote him too often because I mainly am covering our own issues, but in this case, he's covering Mizzou football. He really is a college football and sometimes basketball writer as well. He is obviously quoting a source, and I got to think this source is somebody at Mizzou, probably high up. But that source told Pete Thamel, quote, "Hardy is alert Monday and moving around, and there's optimism that he will play football again," Pete Thamel wrote. How quickly he can return and the impact, however, has yet to be determined. And that source told him there's optimism that he will play football again. I don't know who the source is. I have no idea. But I have to think it's somebody that knows, because I've seen he is able to, on a typical game day, he will know days before who's in or out, so he's connected.
Real insider.
Yeah. He knows, and whoever this source is, there's But I think let's read that statement again. That sentence. There's optimism that he will play football again. It doesn't say there's optimism he will play football this season. I hope it is.
Well, here's my hope.
I think that's a pretty powerful
There's
statement.
always a life after football, whether you're Terry Bradshaw or Ahmad Hardy or Fran Tarkenton or, no matter who you are. And my hope is that this young man, who by all accounts is really a first-class guy, right? I mean, apparently really cherished by his friends and apparently not a real prima donna kind of a guy.
Not at all.
Okay.
Very good man.
My hope is that, he came from a rap concert. Clearly, he was there were some hooligans around, or else you don't get shot unless there's hooligans around. My hope is that he will turn this into a positive and somehow some messaging for a community that he can influence more than anyone, probably, right? Or as much as anyone. And hopefully he plays again, prospers, does well, goes on to the NFL, and then uses that as a bully pulpit to say, hey, look, there but by the grace of God go I. And please, let's turn our culture around. Let's not bring guns to concerts. Let's if you want to have a dispute, go out in the alley and do some shouting,
right, instead
of some shooting. And I don't know. Maybe that's Pollyanna, rose-colored glasses, but there have been people who have had tragedies in their life, or near misses, if you will, near hits, that do turn it into a social message that's positive, right? I mean, you see that in the community of faith, right? Maybe something good will come of this. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, I've got one for you.
Yeah.
How about Brian Robinson Jr. with the Commanders, who was shot a couple times during a robbery a number of years ago and was back within a few months on the field?
There you go. And that
I remember that.
And that's exactly right. You bring up a very good point. The other thing he has going for him, he's young, he's athletic, he's just. But what you said, Randy, I think is very important. He's involved. I know he helped some of the foster kids up at Coyote Hill. Yeah. With Christmas, those kids don't have anything. A lot of them don't have literally anything. It's he didn't. There's no accusation he did anything wrong. He just happened to be there. Shots rang out.
Well, interesting. We have a lot of text on the 573-874-9390 line. Someone's asking what do we know about the shooter or shooters? So have they been people taken into custody?
Well, depending, I know people have been questioned on that. WJTV, let me go back. I just had that story up. They're reporting that no one has been arrested.
Okay.
But I saw something in the Laurel newspaper that some people have been questioned on that. But again, I don't.
So really, we don't know much about the why or the who of this, other than Ahmaud Hardy got shot.
Well, there is definitely no issue, and there's no word on a motive for this. Let me go back to
and we don't know if he got involved in a skirmish. Someone was saying, are you reporting that he was in a car or?
I have not. No, the newspaper is saying 3 19-year-old suspects were brought in for questioning. They're on hold for another agency. But in terms,
Randy is saying he heard he was in his car. He got shot through the car door. I don't know. I don't know.
That's not in the
3 persons of interest the AP is reporting were questioned.
Yeah,
but they're not calling. They haven't made a formal arrest.
Why would they choose to shoot Ahmaud Hardy?
Well, they may not have known who. They may have been shooting at somebody else, but as Jennifer knows, and I don't know anything about this car issue, but 3 19-year-old suspects have been brought in for questioning. They're on hold from another agency. The newspaper's using their names. I'd probably hold off on their names.
Andy makes a point here. As good as time as any for the MU coach, Drinkwitz, to remind his players of the environments they put themselves in. You said it was a sketchy, that wasn't your word.
Well, the biker bar,
dilapidated.
That building's still, you can see a picture of it. I mean, the paint's falling off.
You got to have some common sense when you're hanging out, right? All right. Well,
raves, all kids, college kids go to dumpy places to party. That's just part of it.
I only played in the band in those places. I didn't.
Yeah, you were there, though.
You went to a commuter school, Randy.
You were there, Randy.
All right. When we come back, hey, the sun is shining. Memorial Day just a little ways away. Let's talk about sun safety when we come back on Make Missouri Healthy.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
finally, and it's been out for what now, a few days in a row. Well, save for a little cloudiness on Sunday for a while, but Memorial Day looming ahead, the summer about ready to start. Yacht, the yachts and the surfing and the fishing and the hiking and all of the outdoor sports will be around.
Pickleball.
John will be on his yacht.
I'll be on the
out on the Mississippi.
Pickleball court.
On the Mississippi, right, John? You and your yacht.
No, I'll be down at the lake with Stephanie skiing behind the yacht.
So I want you to know your ABCDEs. What does that mean? Well, if you're looking at a mole, if you're looking at a little skin lesion you have, look for this. If it's asymmetric, where one half doesn't match the other, that's A. If the borders are fuzzy or irregular or scalloped, that should give you concern. Notched, particularly if those develop as a changeable thing over a short while. If the colors, if we think of this is the America's
So
Truth.
what was B? So A is
B
asymmetric.
is border. Asymmetric.
Okay.
B is border. If it's nice, smooth borders, not always a safe sign, but generally safer than if they're irregular. And then this is red, white, and blue America 250. So I think of red, white, and blue colored variation and different shades of brown either within the same mole. That should give you concern. So that's C, color. A is asymmetry, B is border, C is color.
Right?
D is diameter. If it's larger than the pencil eraser, so remember the little rubber pencil erasers on your Eberhard Faber number 2? Drake doesn't know what an Eberhard Faber number 2 is. But about 6 millimeters, roughly quarter of an inch. If it's any bigger than that, make sure you get it checked out. So diameter. And E, evolving. So if you see a change, if it's pretty stable, even if it looks, sort of dark, if it's stable, not changing, not often as big a problem. But if it's itching, if it's bleeding, if it bleeds easily, if it's crusted, make sure you get it checked out. And then what's called that's ABCDE. Asymmetry, A. B, borders, irregular, variegated, scalloped, fuzzy, blurred. C, color variation within the same mole. D, diameter, more than a pencil eraser. Or E, evolving. So anything in changes in your body, obviously. You have change in bowel habits, better get your colon looked at. So anything that changes unusually. So it is with skin. And then the ugly duckling sign, a mole that looks different from others. If someone addresses your mole rather than you and says hello, and they're looking at something other than your eyes, and they're looking at your mole, you probably ought to get it checked out. Okay?
Yeah, looking at the mole, right, Randy.
I had a mole right on my chest here that turned out to be a melanoma, and luckily we caught it in time.
Yeah, and it was luckily it was a surface one, right? Melanoma in situ.
But it was getting darker and bigger, and it was ugly. Now I have a scar there, but it could have been way worse because I didn't know. To me, skin cancer was something that, my aunts and uncles and parents dealt with in their 50s, 60s, 70s, got stuff cut off, burned off. Yeah. I didn't know it could kill you in your early 30s.
Well, and we're dealing
melanoma
with dermatologists are dealing with an epidemic of young women, especially getting melanoma, skin cancers because of tanning beds. This tanning craze can be a real problem. 1 in 5 Americans will develop skin cancer by age 70. Melanoma kills 8,500 people a year. Get it checked out. Wear your sunscreen early. Put it on often if you're sweating or getting wet. I prefer mineral sunscreens. And even though they may make you look a little like Casper the Ghost, if they have titanium or zinc oxide or dioxide, they don't have the chemicals in there that, especially for kids. Do not use those chemical sunscreens with the young kids. Okay?
Oh, okay.
And if you have you have 5 sunburns, you double your risk of mold. Of melanoma, if you have 5 sunburns. Who hasn't had 5 sunburns? Yeah? That's Make Missouri Healthy again. Lather up with that sunscreen, guys. Don't get skin cancer. Denny Hoskins coming up.
From the Zimmer Radio Network headquarters, it's your morning addiction.
They won't work with ICE, and they let bad guys, they let them out on the street.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
We cannot and the world should not tolerate an Iranian regime that is trying to choke off the entire world's economy.
The Zimmer News Team. And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Well, with redistricting discussions, the talk of the nation in light of the Supreme Court, we've got a redistricting dispute of our own here in Missouri that still is ongoing. And right at the center of it, or always involved in these discussions, is none other than Secretary of State Denny Hoskins. And we're pleased to have him join us now. Denny, welcome into the program.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
So, I think a lot of everyday folks that are, living their lives trying to figure out how to fill their gas tank with, maybe taking that second job, forget that, there's some existentially important things that go on in terms of their future lives, like who's representing them and how many people are representing their interest rather than the interest on the other side of the fence. That's the discussion going on regarding our redistricting dispute today. Tell us what's happening and what the dispute is. We talked about some Supreme Court arguments today. Our own Stephanie Bell is there today. What's going on, and what does your crystal ball say?
Yes, so today at the Missouri Supreme Court, there will be oral arguments in three cases. The first one's Maggard versus the state, that basically says that once they turn in signatures, even though that they are unverified by the local election authorities and uncertified by me, Maggard believes that the referendum should automatically go into place. And I totally disagree with that. I mean, merely depositing boxes of unverified signatures with my office does not mean that the referendum should go into place and the signature and the Missouri First map would not go into effect. And so that's what the first case is about. I agree with our Cole County Judge Stumpy, who agreed with me, that said that the referendum would only go into effect and pause the Missouri First map once signatures are verified by the local election authorities and certified by me. And
so that's the big dispute in that one, because we had a special session. Right. We passed a new Missouri First map that would be a 7-1 map, 7 Republicans, 1 Democrat instead of 6 Republicans, 2 Democrats.
That was in the special session.
Yeah. And then they submitted all these signatures by December, 300,000 signatures, to say, hey, let's send that to the voters. And the dispute is, well, that could have been 300 boxes of blank paper for all we know. What is it that triggers that map not going into effect, and when does that happen, right? Is that right, Secretary of State?
Yes.
Denny Hoskins?
That's right. That's right, because what could happen is they could have turned in over 300,000 signatures with Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, and their niece Millie Mouse. I mean, it has
Bandley Bober.
That's right. Yeah. It has to go through the process, and those local election authorities have until July 28th to verify those signatures, and then I have until August 4th to certify those signatures.
And at that point, it'd be too late to change the map, because you would be voting by, what day is the primary election?
August 4th.
Okay, so we'd have to use the new map in that case, right?
That's right. We would have to use the new map in that case. And I've always said that I question the constitutionality of doing a referendum on congressional redistricting, because the dates, like you said, just don't make sense. It does not make sense that I have until August 4th to certify those signatures and consider them for my certification if the election day is also Tuesday, August 4th.
And that's Attorney General Catherine Hanaway has that argument, too, that the congressional district maps aren't even subject to this referendum process. Did I have that right?
That's right. Yeah. General Hanaway and her team, the Solicitor General Liu, they're doing an excellent job representing not only me but the state of Missouri. And yes, we both agree on that fact.
That's Secretary of State Denny Hoskins, who wants to wait and certify and then have a discussion about whether or not people can vote on it by a proper constitutional method. He joins us today on Wake Up Missouri.
The morning of oral arguments at the Missouri Supreme Court. Very exciting.
Denny, we've watched this whole process, and you mentioned Judge Stumpy in Cole County. You were before him months ago. What are there now, like 8 or 9 cases, most of them in state court, but a couple before the feds? How do you keep this all sorted out, you and your legal counsel?
Well, yes, I think we were up to about 10 cases referencing the map, and the new Missouri First map, as well as the referendum. So I've got a great legal team, and then obviously General Hanaway has got some great attorneys as well. And so, yes, it is a little tough sometimes, especially when people refer to them as cases. So that first case we talked about was Maggard versus the state. There's 2 other cases that are also being heard before the oral arguments before the Supreme Court too, and they've been kind of combined together. And one is Healy versus the state, and the second one is Wise versus the state. And both of these deal with compactness of these new maps. And so Healy and Wise are both saying that, hey, these new maps are not compact and contiguous. I would disagree. I think that there are fewer in the new map. There are fewer counties that are split and fewer cities that are split. And statistically, there is a score that actually gives a score based on compactness of congressional districts. And my understanding is that score of this new Missouri First map is actually better, which means it's more compact and contiguous than the map that was approved in 2022.
Well, isn't it true that even in Columbia, I mean, the current map splits, doesn't it split Columbia right down Broadway? But the new map wouldn't do that, right?
Well,
am I
it
wrong?
still splits Boone County.
Okay.
But
It still does.
But not the city. Correct?
I believe that is correct, Randy. I don't have the map.
So.
Okay,
so do any of the arguments against this try to leverage the former precedent of racial protection, minority majority right? Or is there anyone that's trying to use that argument anymore in light of the recent Supreme Court decision?
No, there's not. And in fact, that case just came from the Supreme Court last week or the week before last that says you cannot racially discriminate as far as when you're drawing maps. And what we called those was a majority minority district. And right now, Missouri has one majority minority district. That's in St. Louis City. And the U.S. Supreme Court just said, hey, that's racial discriminating, and that cannot take effect. And so now we are seeing states that had majority minority districts that were just decided by the color of people's skin, being taken down. I think Alabama, the state of Alabama, just had one yesterday, and they said, hey, we're probably going to redistrict because one of these districts is racially discriminatory.
They had 2, and they're doing away with one of them. What happens, Secretary of State Hoskins, if things go awry and the Supreme Court says, nope, the referendum, once they turn in those signatures, that meant the map doesn't go into effect? We've had candidates file for these offices for Congress in the 5th District. What would happen then? Would other people get to file if they were interested, or how would that even work?
They could. The court could make a ruling, judgment that says, yes, we need to open back up filing, and so people could file in a different district if they wanted to. However, in Congress, you do not have to live in the district that you represent.
That's
and so
true.
When people came in and filed, and that ended, I believe, March 31st, they could file in any district that they wanted to. But we did tell them that, hey, you need to file based on the Missouri First map. And so that was their expectation when they came in and filed.
Well, this is fascinating. And, of course, it really does ultimately impact very existential decisions that affect our lives, because the federal, power and impact of these representatives carries ever more weight in what used to be a constitutional republic, and increasingly is a centralized DC-centric, governance we have. So that's why it is important. It makes a big difference. And
we're going to vote on this one way or the other, it looks like, assuming the signatures are valid and they have more than they needed. Then we'll probably be deciding in November whether to adopt the Missouri First map. Isn't that right? Or am I...
That is correct. If the signatures are certified, and it is constitutional that you do a referendum on a congressional redistricting, this would be on the November 2026 ballot. So, and then if when people vote in November, if they vote no, that means we would go back to the old maps in 2028 and have the new maps from 2026 to 2028. So it can kind of get definitely confusing, but I'm hopeful that the Missouri Supreme Court will rule in my favor like they did last month, like the federal court did a few months ago, and just like Judge Stumpy did in Cole County Circuit Court last month.
You guys have been racking up a lot of wins on this one, so kudos on that.
What are you hearing from the county clerks as far as their progress on their, I guess, signature by signature validation?
Yes, they have until, like I said, July 27th in order to verify all those signatures. I know that they've been working hard in order to verify those signatures. Obviously, they just had municipal elections in April, and they're also now working on redoing their congressional redistricting in order to make sure that when people come in and vote in August that they're voting on the right congressional map. And so I think our local election authorities have definitely been working hard, and they've got a lot on their plate right now.
Something occurs to me, Secretary of State Denny Hoskins joining us on Wake Up Missouri. I was outside the exclusive membership club where I buy things in bulk in Columbia. It's exclusive. Maybe they might let you in because you're an important person that wears a red coat.
I'm not important enough.
But it's an exclusive membership club. When the whole thing came up for Amendment 3 a couple years ago, I was approached by someone outside that club that totally misrepresented the facts of the case.
You're talking about the abortion.
The abortion thing. Saying things like, oh, this is just going to restore Roe versus Wade and there'll be a 21-week limit. I'm like, no. Yeah. One after another, just falsehood. I should have recorded that because my question is, for people who want truth in advertising when it comes to the collection of signatures, could there be a case to be made if you record what someone's telling you before you sign such a thing like that? Could there be a case made in retrospect that if you get enough people misrepresenting the truth, that, hey, I signed it, but I was misled as to what I was signing? Yay or nay?
Yes, most certainly there could be. And I would encourage anyone that's approached to sign a petition to make sure you know what you're signing. Ask for the legal summary or the initial petition, the legal language that I've approved as Secretary of State, and make sure you read through that because sometimes
they don't do that.
Opinion,
they don't offer that. No,
that's right. They do misrepresent exactly what you're signing as far as that.
Well, they might as well be.
When in doubt, don't sign.
Yeah, they might as well be selling dent repair after a hailstorm. I mean, for crying out loud, it's just. All right. Well, there's a lot of legitimate dent repairs. Don't get me wrong.
Good luck this morning.
Hey, good luck this morning, and we'll catch up with you as this thing evolves. Appreciate it, Denny.
All right, I appreciate it. Yep,
all right, there he is. Well, it's a complicated deal, but it's an important deal. All right,
exciting day.
It is. It is. Coming back with more on Wake Up after this.
It's Wake
How many of you in Wake Up Land have found yourself wanting, needing, hoping, attempting to change your partner or someone else very close to you to change their political ideology or maybe just their position on a particular issue? How successful have you been? Well, Sergey Brin, who is the CEO or the founder of Google, his is it girlfriend or wife?
MAGA girlfriend. 32 years old,
who's
wellness guru. Beautiful.
She's apparently pulled him a little to the right. He was backing leftist initiatives. He supported Barack Obama. He was behind the whole green initiative.
Well, she disputes that. This article in the New York Post she's disputing that she's the one that's brought into MAGA. She said, if he were some raging lib, he wouldn't be with me and I wouldn't be with him. I wouldn't date someone who hadn't already moved over. So Brin had already been moving to the right, but he was staying apolitical. Now he's becoming a major player, and this guy has major dollars. And I think it's interesting that his girlfriend describes herself as a Marco Rubio Republican, considering the vast fortune that her boyfriend has at his disposal to play in these elections. But I thought the funniest line from that article, Randy, was that Sergey Brin's MAGA girlfriend denies pushing him, the Google co-founder, right? She said, if I could control him, I'd be married with a baby right now. If she was to be married with a baby with him right now, that makes me kind of like her. Maybe he should think about it.
Yeah, right.
What else you doing, Sergey?
I mean, come on,
You
Sergey.
got worse things you could do. Yeah.
How old's Sergey?
He's 52. She's 32.
Well, he better get
What's
to
he
having a
worth?
baby.
I think he's probably has babies. Let me look that up. I'm pretty sure he's got.
What's he worth? $200-300 billion.
$232 billion.
Yeah.
Sounds like he's whipped. I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think you get to be like a founder of a company that big and be in charge this long and have a 32-year-old boss you around. He's not Bill Belichick, for goodness sake.
Now, Trump had some thoughts about Rubio and, the future.
And he's running, and he's in second place. So we got a lot of beauties out there, JD. I envy you and other people. I don't know. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be JD? Is it going to be somebody else? I don't know. Does anybody have? Okay, let's go. You ready? Who likes JD Vance? Who likes Marco Rubio? All right. Sounds like a good ticket, JD.
Perfect.
That was a perfect ticket.
Perfect.
By the way, I do believe that's a dream team, but these are minor details.
Get this.
Not the JD, they're not.
No.
Oh, yeah. Well,
He's not afraid to just say what's on his mind, that guy.
Perfect ticket. It does sound like pretty perfect to me. I like both of them quite a bit. Another fun fact about the Sergey Brin, has 3 kids. He's had 2 ex-wives. He's the one whose ex-wife, his second ex-wife, he has 1 daughter with who's autistic. That's a big RFKJ supporter that did that commercial and ran his campaign, Nicole Shanahan. Remember that?
Oh, really? That's right. I remember.
Yeah, so they have 1 child autistic, and she got really in the Maha movement because of that.
Well, it's an interesting political time. Whether you agree or disagree with anyone or anything, it's a great spectator sport, is it not?
Yeah, and I love that these girls are bringing the billionaires to the right side.
Yeah. Hey, we'll step aside and come back. Welcome back into Wake Up Missouri. Jennifer Bukowski's in for Stephanie, who's arguing in front of the Supreme Court with her partner Mark Ellinger today, law partner. Ellinger, sorry. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how this comes out. We talked with Denny Hoskins earlier. If you miss those types of interviews and other topics we talk about, Drake selects the very best of the morning show and puts it on the Wake Up Missouri podcast that you can check out later on.
I don't select the best parts of the morning show. I select the good parts of the morning show. There's a keen difference because some days I don't have anything to post with you, Randy.
Thanks, Drake.
And tomorrow, Brian Hansen will be producing the Wake Up Missouri show. No. So make sure you catch that if you can. And catch us live on Wake Up Missouri YouTube channel and on Facebook as well. My Facebook. So I'm thinking about this Iran issue and how thrilled, absolutely thrilled I am that now it's being reported and confirmed, Fox News confirming, I mean, I believe it, that the UAE has been working on the ground inside Iran, boots on the ground.
But not our boots.
Not American. I mean, I think there probably are some SF guys on the ground. I have no knowledge of that, but I've heard people, that know these kind of things. I've seen them online on LinkedIn, on whatever.
CIA's got to be over there, too.
We've probably got some advisors over there. I don't know. We got something going on. But, I mean, we've got boots on the ground by the United Arab Emirates who have received more incoming missiles than Israel during this deal from Iran, which speaks to, I think, a growing new anti-Iranian pro-Western or at least Western-aligned coalition of people, of countries in the Middle East.
Yeah, some of these Gulf state nations are bigger supporters of us than Western European nations.
Right. Yeah. That's right. Western Europeans are, whatever. They got their tight, pants and their little, beta male, lunches at the bistro cafe sitting on the street.
Because the Gulf states see Iran for what it is.
Yeah, while we're fighting the wars,
Yeah.
Well, Fox News reporting this morning that Israel is sending Iron Dome missiles to UAE.
I mean, this is amazing.
Really?
Directly.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Wow, I hadn't heard that.
So that's very interesting.
Now, while I'm very, very upset that Trump has not taken the bull by the horns and opened the straits by just controlling it, for crying out loud, control the coastal capacity they have to send out little boats and fire little missiles and little bottle rockets at us. Open up the straits tomorrow. Let the UAE and anyone else that's willing go in there and start working on the ground. Support the UAE like mad, like crazy. Just support them. Support Israel. Get some troops in there. Let them do the heavy lifting on the inside. Open up the neighborhoods so that people can take back their country. But on the larger long-term scale, how important, how pivotal, how critical is it that we continue to nurture this? It started with the Abraham Accords. And now, interestingly, I think a wonderful side effect is Iranians stupidly start lobbing missiles at the Gulf states. And the Gulf states, everyone hates Iran over there. Everyone. They don't like their neighbor, Iran. And so they're happy to become a part of maybe outing that bully. And we don't have to do it as much.
Well, the big challenge still, and we heard it from General Kane just the other day when the reporters asked him, why are you taking so long to reopen the Straits of Hormuz? And the general said, completely demining the straits could take up to 6 months. So it's not an instant thing. And they're, I think the small boats, unless they're out laying the mines, and I think they're capable of that. That's what the general said. It's not going to be an immediate turnaround.
But I asked the question, those boats are not dropping out of the sky. Those boats are sitting at a dock somewhere there on the coast of the Straits, and someone is putting a gasoline pump filler thing into the filler nozzle of said boat, pulling up the handle, putting up their credit card, pulling up the little handle that ignites it, pushing the E85, and someone's filling those boats and someone's manning those boats. They need to look, if it seems to me that tactically we could do better.
Well, they're supposedly based in those deep underground, underwater bunkers and all that are on their side of the straits. So they're not like they're just all. I think the ones that were out sitting at the dock, we've gotten those, and the rest of them are kind of squirreled away. But yeah, I hear you.
Donald Trump would be a hero. The world would applaud if tomorrow there was the equivalent of a D-Day that stopped at the coast, that just owned the coast and owned Karg Island and just said, look, we don't want to do this, but since the Iranians are acting stupidly and making the world pay for their hegemony and their misery and their carnage and their want of a nuclear weapon delusionally born, someone's got to do it. America's going to do it. And yeah, would there be some fits and starts along the way? But to just keep playing games with the delusional people that think they're going to win this in the long run. Meanwhile, the world is paying a dear price.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, where are they going to go? They're never going to be more important. They're not going to be put in charge of anywhere. So it's existential for them, and they're going to just let their people suffer and cling to power like they're doing in Cuba as well.
I, for one, am really, this UAE thing is great to hear. I mean, that's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, they are very westernized. Yeah. And the more that we get that kind of complicity from other states, and, meanwhile.
That shows confidence in the Trump administration as well, that they're willing to see this thing through. Yeah. Because otherwise, why would you mess with a big neighbor like that?
Well, that and retribution, right?
Yeah,
I mean, if they've taken so many incoming, I mean, it's a big deal.
Are you surprised, John and Randy, that their response to us was to fire rockets at all of their neighbors?
No, because they're idiots.
Huh.
Well, we had bases close. We've got a number of bases that we operate out of in several of those countries and all, although the Saudis don't want to cooperate with us. But UAE and Bahrain and all those places, yeah, we have some bases there. So the Iranians weren't just after, I guess, their oil infrastructure, but they've sure gone after it since.
But their excuse was, because you have bases, but they were hitting civilian populations, weren't they? So that's gonna whip up some enemies against you.
Yeah, hitting the hotels in Dubai and all that. Yeah.
And for those of you who are saying, well, come on, we overplayed their desires for a nuclear weapon. Come on. Yesterday, our friend Ewan from Ashland sent me archived footage from the former speaker of the deputy speaker of the Iranian parliament, who basically said, and I'm looking at the translation here, when we first entered nuclear activities, because he's talking in their native language, our real goal was to build a bomb. No point denying it. And he goes on and confirms that was, and remains their goal.
I mean, they have so much oil. They don't need nuclear power.
They don't need 60 and 90% enriched. You don't need that for nuclear power, even if that was your goal.
It was 100% their goal the whole time. Trying to pretend otherwise was asinine.
And unlike everyone else in the world where one's life on earth matters to one, even though one in Christian terms looks forward to eternity. I can't wait. I get a better body and face. What? Maybe get some of the hair back too.
I didn't.
Then even though that's the West thinks that way, these people don't. They want to die. They want to bring the end of the world. They have a totally different worldview. You couple that with wanting a nuclear bomb.
You're assuming they're all super religious, and I think there are some hardliners that are, but then there's other folks that aren't.
But the hardliners are what matter in this dispute, because they're in control.
Well, that's a good question, too. Who's in control? We have not seen the Ayatollah's son, allegedly gay Ayatollah. He might have been killed in February. No one has seen him.
How can you be a gay Ayatollah in Iran when they hang people by their if you're gay?
Yeah, that
He's in charge. He makes the rules.
Oh, man. There's so much there.
The gay Ayatollah, yeah.
The gay Ayatollah.
They presented a cardboard cutout with a picture of the guy's face when they're like, okay, you're the supreme leader now. We have not seen proof of life of that guy yet. So is someone else really Or is he just like being named and he's actually dead and the real leader is behind the curtains? Or is no one really in charge and they just don't want us to know that?
What? I just keep wondering, what kind of 4D chess is Donald Trump playing? We always give him credit for that. I mean, this chess game, in chess, in championship chess, there's a timer. You have to make your move within a certain time.
He knows
Trump's acting like he's playing 4D chess and there's no timer. The American people, the electorate, have a timer. It's called the midterms. And I hope he doesn't miscalculate because, I mean, we've heard, I think Larry Barron's and others have said, it's going to take 4 to 6 months to unwind this oil price rise. Huh? Doesn't happen overnight.
Goes up in a hurry, but it takes a lot longer to come back down. Has been the way it generally goes.
It's been going up for sure.
All right, John.
Good time to be a Tesla owner.
Well, I don't know. If not for that, this was all there is, or something like that. John, what's up when we come back?
How about crock and roll?
Crock and roll.
Ooh.
All right, let's see what John's coming up with when we return on Wake Up Missouri.
It's Wake Up
except for this.
A Florida woman who feared she heard someone breaking into her house was met with a bigger surprise. 2 alligators duking it out on her screened-in porch. Kayla Burris was home with a sleeping baby, she said, when she heard it. The gators tore through the screen, and Burris filmed one of them on her phone, biting the other one's tail almost off. She said it definitely looked like they were fighting over territory or something. It wasn't like a mating ritual that I'd seen before because there was blood and it had its hindquarters and its jaws. A licensed trapper caught the gators, one 6 foot, the other closer to 9 feet, and relocated them. Yeah, it was scary, Burris said, and I just warned everybody else in the neighborhood, like, watch your kids and watch the dogs.
How did the gators get in?
They ripped the screen off the porch, apparently, and came in.
Wow.
I remember being a kid, one of my little buddies in grade school, and they went on vacation to Florida, and he came home with a live alligator.
Really?
He did?
One of the little bitty ones.
What? And then what happened?
Is there any advice if you find yourself in the grips of a gator? Like if you poke it in the eye, will it stop? Or, I mean, is there anything you can do, or are you just toast?
I would say just don't get in that situation.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if you're on a golf course, you're retrieving. I'm legend for retrieving most of my shots go out of the fairway. And so then I'm retrieving the ball all the time. I probably shouldn't do that.
Watch the water hazards, I guess, would be your best
probably
advice.
Shouldn't go there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, my best advice, if you're like reaching in the lake to grab your ball and an alligator grabs on, just like cut your arm off at that point. Yeah. I mean, they're taking you under.
Forget about it, yeah.
Yeah, just forget about it. You don't have an arm anymore, and that's okay.
Wow.
Aren't you supposed to punch it in the head? You have to get away from the water because they'll beat you in the water.
Yeah.
No,
you have
isn't
to
that
fight
sharks?
aggressively.
Isn't that sharks that you're supposed to punch in the head?
Oh, you know what? You're supposed to run away from it in a zigzag pattern.
Serpentine.
Remember
that movie?
No. Actually, they actually recommend run straight away from the alligator. Don't zigzag. Alligators are fast in short bursts, but they tire quickly on land. If it hasn't grabbed you yet, create a distance. But if it does grab you, fight violently. Target the eyes, snout, and throat. Hit, gouge,
just be
kick,
faster
punch,
than
whatever you can do.
So faster than the guy you're with, right?
Yeah, right.
How fast can a 9-foot gator run on land? Because I would think the presidential fitness, if I'm Ron DeSantis, I'm saying, all right, guys, everyone in the state of Florida, as part of the presidential fitness test, you're going to do a sprint, and everyone needs to have, this would be a criteria for graduation. You have to be able to sprint faster than a gator can run on
35 miles per hour in a short sprint for
Can
a
you
gator.
sprint 35 miles an hour, Drake Whitman?
I don't think Usain Bolt can, so, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
What,
Don't look at me
35 miles
confused.
an hour? They can run that fast? There's no way. Really?
35 miles an hour.
Wow.
Well, the other safety tip, I know that their jaw, like, clamping a bit, like the pressure is so, like, they're very strong gripping down, but they can't lift their jaws up. So if you see one and you just grab it by the snout, it's not strong enough to, like, really lift itself up.
If you can make the right grab. If you miss, you're in trouble.
Yes, Randy. Yes.
Yeah, you are.
Usain Bolt, 27.7 miles per hour at his very fastest. So the Gators even got the
Gator
fastest
beats
man in the
Bolt.
world.
You know.
Yeah, man. I like.
Little jerk alligator.
I want
huh?
some gator bites, man.
You know, you bring up a running test. Some of these elite schools have swimming tests, like MIT, Cornell, and their students are actually worried about it. We were on tours, and they were getting questions about it. But at MIT, you have to be able to swim at least half the length of that was the Charles River, because they had so many students drown in there. But there are a lot of those kids that get into that super smart school that can't swim. I guess they've been studying their whole lives and not going on vacation.
Swimming is a great sport. One of our great listeners, Sandy, is a swimmer. It's a great sport. Everyone should learn to. I learned to swim.
Except if there's a gator, then don't get in the water.
Helene she's a great swimmer, and when we started doing sprint triathlons back in the day, I couldn't swim, so we'd have to split it up. I'd do the biking, maybe the run. She'd do the swimming. But it's one of those old dog, new tricks thing. Unless you learn as a kid, it's just never the same. If you learn later, it's not the same. So kids, parents, teach your kids how to swim. Very, very important.
Yep.
Because if you run, so with a few exceptions, if you run, unless you're super lithe, look that word up, Drake. You'll have to look that word up. Super lithe. Ultimately, it hurts your back. It's tough on your joints, your hips, your knees. But you can swim your whole life long, and it's.
But your hair gets wet, Randy. Not all of us have that kind of time.
Jennifer, in case you haven't noticed, I don't have to worry about that.
That's why he's so fast in the water.
Yeah.
That's right.
He's lithe,
Who
very
needs a
lithe.
swimming cap when you're Randy in the pool? All right, when we come back, we talk to Brad Jones, bring the conversation back to reality as we talk about the temperature of the water among the small business and the independent business community with Brad Jones. Back when we return on Wake Up Missouri.
We cannot and the world should not tolerate an Iranian regime that is trying to choke off the entire world's economy.
The Zimmer News Team. And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Well, I am Randy. There is Jennifer in for Stephanie, who's at the Supreme Court of Missouri today, working on the a petition eligibility for the referendum on the redistricting. It's a complicated deal. You'll have to listen to the podcast if you didn't hear our discussion with Denny Hoskins earlier. Jen's in for Steph. John Marsh, of course, is always alongside, and Drake, making sure everything comes out smoothly on the technical and production side. And our erstwhile sports contributor as well. Brad Jones joins us now, the Missouri director of the National Federation of Independent Business, with the monthly hot off the press business environment report. Now, Brad, we had a hot jobs report, well, against expectations. I mean, it was good last week. Does that reflect what you're hearing from the NFIB survey?
Nope.
All right. So, what kind of,
talk to you next month, Brad?
Okay, we'll see. Are you a whiskey or bourbon guy? You Scotch or bourbon guy? Okay.
And cut.
Okay. So, what's the deal?
Well, okay. Here's where we are. So, of course, we're looking at the April numbers, and as your listeners might remember, March was not good, and really, honestly, the survey was completely flat. But there's 10 things in the survey. 7 of them were a little bit positive. But here's my problem. The 3 that were not positive were down quite a bit, and I consider them the big 3. Okay. So
the big 3.
The one that says, do you expect the economy to improve the next few months, was down 7. That's a big drop. Okay. Yeah, and the real big problem with that is that has not been positive for 4 months. So, I mean, if you're looking at overall optimism in the small business world, they're looking at the next few months again as not being very good.
So that's sort of a headline. That's a headline metric there, right? Like, hey, what do you think's going to happen macroeconomically? And it's been negative for 4 months and down 7 last month. Wow.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is, I mean, you've got plans to increase employment, so that tipped up a little bit. Now, the other one that really concerns me is the plans to make capital outlays. That's spending money on yourself. Mm-hmm. That's spending money and reinvesting in your business. Mm-hmm. That has been down every month since January. So that's 9% that has been down for this year. And, Randy, that means that you don't have the optimism to want to plow more money into your business and expand it or grow it or improve it or whatever. And I think that number is a little bit bit problematic. And then you've got, do you expect your real sales to be higher? And that's down 4. So that's another one of the big ones. In other words, you don't think your sales are going to be any better than they were the last couple of months. And, of course, the other one's real easy. It just is now a good time to expand. And, again, that was down a -4. So you had some other things that kind of mellowed it out. But the 3 biggies that I always look at are those 3, and they're not so good. Yeah. And the other one that I'm really kind of worried about, and I think you've talked about it and others economists have talked about it, is what's going to happen with inflation. And the April report shows that the net percentage of owners raising average selling prices rose 5 points. That's a pretty big. Wow. That's a pretty big raise. Yeah. And so they're kind of looking at. They're kind of looking out there and going, you know what, I hate to do it, but I think I'm going to probably have to raise my prices just a little bit.
Well, we've heard that with large, the big Fortune 500 businesses, right? I mean, we've heard where they absorbed from the tariffs and from inflation and, whatever, they've absorbed all these increased costs, but then they're one by one saying, no, I can't do it anymore. I just can't absorb it anymore. So
well, and you and I both know absorbing isn't a really good word for small business.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they seem to think that if you need more money, you go out in the backyard and you just dig it up. Well, you know what? Guess what? It doesn't work that way, and especially for your mom and pop businesses and your Main Street companies, it's very difficult sometimes to absorb, because you've got to stay competitive. And if you're going to stay competitive, you've got to be competitive on service and you've got to be competitive on price. And there is a point where you just say, I can't raise my prices anymore if anybody's going to be coming in the door. So that those are some. I mean, the index itself rose 0.1, which is just that's a wash, basically. It's point. It's nothing. So, but overall, I still think that one of the biggest problems that we're having, and to get back to the jobs report, we actually in March we had 32% said that they had jobs that they could not fill. And in April, we had 34% said we've got jobs that cannot fill. That's not the direction you want to go if you're looking at a really strong, positive workforce situation out there where you're trying to hire people. Mm-hmm. And it's, that number, you remember a couple of years ago, that number was up around 50-55%.
Yeah, I remember.
And still, Randy, the specialized jobs, your construction jobs, your craftsman's jobs, they're still pretty high. That number is still really pretty high. One of the things that I think you would find interesting is we've always put at the end of this survey a little area where businesses can make comments. And they've started putting some of these quotes at the tail end of this report, and they're very telling. Small business folks don't mince any words, and to the point that I just made. So here's one. It says, it's impossible to find good mechanics. We did not have this problem 20 years ago. Also, our competitors are having the same problem of finding people with automotive skills. So, that kind of speaks to a lot of different areas of small business.
Well, look, if you've got any friends, I've got a timing light and one of those spark plug spacer things. I'd be happy to crawl under the hood, Brad.
You could start moonlighting. Yeah.
That's Brad Jones. He's the Missouri director of the NFIB. That's the National Federation of Independent Business. He joins us on Wake Up Missouri with the monthly report, which today, not very positive.
Hey, Brad.
But a lot of companies too have better. They have better sales and stuff in the summer. So here we are at spring, and especially some of those businesses that are in maybe more touristy type areas where you've got more of an influx of people that come into town. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, John.
Brad, have you polled your Missouri members about AI? Are they using it? Is it a labor-saving device? Are they afraid of it? Have you polled them on that?
Most cattle ranchers are.
We have not polled them on the AI issue. I assume that some of our members are using it. Some are. I think you just covered it. I think some are using it. Some are scared of it. I don't know that and that would probably be a question that they would put on the federal ballot, on the big ballot, and. We'll see. They may be asking that question.
Going back to jobs, one of the economists we've talked with recently talked about. I think it was Dave Hebert last week. Talked about employers are in basically a no hire, no fire, sort of just basically a status quo kind of a thing, because there's a lot of uncertainty. As you said, money doesn't grow on trees. Their costs are going up with their input costs. Is that what you're hearing? Basically, hey, I'm not laying people off, but I'm not hiring either. I'm just sort of in a holding pattern.
Well, we call that the hunker down mode.
Yeah,
you just want to make payroll on Friday and do what you do, but you're not. Well, I think, Randy, also the hunker down mode definitely is in that plans for capital outlays. People are saying, "Look, I'm not hiring people, but you know what? I need a new vehicle. We're going to let this one go a few more miles." And I think really that's going on across the country. They're waiting to see, and I got to tell you, this fuel price thing hits small business really hard because people that are bringing you your products are needing to charge more. If you've got any kind of delivery, I mean, I always think of my buddies down here in downtown Jeff City that deliver flowers. I mean, look at their costs on gasoline. I mean, it's a real thing.
Well, Brad, how much you said that there's a reluctance for capital investments. I think I've heard there's a lot of uncertainty created by AI. People are just trying to figure out which way things are headed. Is that factoring?
Only a minute left.
Yeah, only a minute left. But have you heard anything of your members with any uncertainty caused by AI or any more willingness to invest because of AI?
I don't know that AI is specifically the end all for a lot of small businesses. I think they're looking at things probably a little more realistically and on the ground, if you will. I know AI is creeped into our psyche, but you've got real sales and you've got stuff like that, and I don't know how much of an impact AI is really having on your mom and pop smaller businesses. We'll find out, though. We'll see what we can do.
Well, GM announced they're laying off hundreds of workers globally, trying to save some bucks. And you know why? Yeah. They're all white collar IT guys. That's where they're happening. Yeah. So we'll have to see. Now,
absolutely.
A lot of mom and pop places, I think, if they do it, they may be using it as validation or as sort of a super Google. I don't know that many of them have those huge looming IT needs. If you're selling something at a bricks and mortar store, I don't know, but
you'd be surprised how much automation it can do.
Well, that's true. Design, build kind of stuff. Yeah.
Billing.
Well, I'll tell you where it's good. If it can take some of the regulatory burden off of a small business owner, and they can go in and they can do it faster, which is usually at the kitchen table after they work 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
Then good. But if it's going to be replacing people, then for a small business, they don't have that option.
Well, Brad Jones brings us AI once a month. That's accredited information. Accredited information. That's what we call it. Brad Jones, thanks for being with us, brother. We'll talk to you later.
And happy last week of session.
There you go. Be back with the morning bell after this.
It's Wake Up
I hear Zibel. What's going on, Jennifer?
Well, Wall Street started the week with a modest gain yesterday, but it was enough to put the S&P 500 and NASDAQ at fresh closing highs. The Dow rose 95 points, or about 0.2%, and it closed at 49,704. The S&P 500 gained 14 points to finish at 7,412, a record high. NASDAQ added 27 points to close at 26,274, another record high. Reuters described the move as a market still powered by artificial intelligence optimism, especially semiconductors, even as oil prices and Middle East tensions kept inflation concerns front and center. But compared to a year ago, the Dow closed at 42,410 and the S&P 500 5,844 and the NASDAQ 18,708. So we're up 17% for the Dow, 27% for the S&P 500, and 40% for the NASDAQ compared to 1 year ago. Futures, as of this morning, are looking softer after the latest inflation report. The Dow futures were basically flat, but slightly negative, down 15 points. S&P 500 down about 0.33%. NASDAQ futures down about 0.75%. The pressure came after April's consumer price index came in a little hotter than expected. CPI rose 0.6% for the month and 3.8% for a year ago.
April consumer price index hitting the wires up 0.6.
Just
is
off
the
the press.
headline number. That's exactly what we were expecting.
So, Jennifer, you have the latest info on the CPI. Not good news, right? 3.8% year over year.
Yeah, so 3.8% from a year ago, and core CPI. I'm not sure what the difference is between CPI and core CPI.
That strips out, I think, food and energy.
Oh, you're right. Excludes that is 2.8% year over year.
Yeah, and that's so. This is above that goal for the Fed of 2%, right? And the highest since on the headline, 3.8%, the highest since May of 23. Ugh, heading into the midterms, not good.
Yeah, so the bottom line is the markets are still near record highs, but this morning investors are watching a familiar collision, a strong tech momentum on one side versus inflation, oil, and interest rate worries on the other side.
Tech is driving a lot of this, no? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so.
And energy, of course. I mean, that goes without saying. So I wonder if this is going to push Trump to continue that surge for at least a temporary suspension of gas tax for a while, you know?
That's what they were saying this morning that he's going to go for, but he needs congressional authorization.
That's right. He can't do that by EO.
EO, no.
I think the governors can, though, in the states. Yeah. I think that's how they did it in Georgia.
I wonder if Kehoe's going to consider that.
Yeah, it's a question for the governor.
Helene showed me something that I don't know if it was a meme that Josh Hawley is introducing some legislation.
Yes,
like that.
I think you're correct.
Okay, good. So, I don't know though. I mean, that's a temporary fix, and it's okay. You figure out what are one of the little SUVs? What, 15, 16 gallons? Isn't that what they hold? So if you're talking 18 cents federal tax, that's not a whole lot of bucks. I mean, it's something, $3 or $4.
Couple dollars.
Yeah. I could sure use anything with my $5.29 a gallon diesel in mid-Missouri.
You need to get rid of that diesel mobile.
Anyone want a diesel
Cybertruck,
real
Randy?
cheap?
Think Cybertruck.
Comes with a horse trailer.
Be back in a minute.
have these structural problems that need to be addressed. We've got to, for instance, make sure we pass the John Robert Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act so we can end the era of voter suppression in the United States of America once and for all. We have to end Citizens United, dramatically reform our campaign finance laws to stop the ability of these deep-pocketed special interests to intervene. And we are going to have to explore massive judicial reform, state by state, and at the federal level, and everything should be on the table as far as I'm concerned.
So that means if the Democrats have their way, they will return to racism to cure racism.
Yep.
They will they will want to pack the courts.
Mm-hmm.
They will probably break the filibuster the first chance they have. They will then use that to make D.C., give D.C. 2 senators, right?
And Puerto Rico.
And you could be looking at forever leftward leaning, solar farms across the fruited plains, no future nuclear energy, nothing but windmills and solar farms.
Sounds lovely.
Cap up the rigs, baby. Cap up the rigs instead of drill, baby, drill. So Hakeem Jeffries is saying it out loud. How are those midterms working out for you? I'm telling you, I mean, it's going to be an important thing. If voters think that they can be, if conservative voters who like closed borders, who like deregulation, who, despite some of the headwinds that we're facing with inflation on the heels of this rooting out the bully in the Middle East, if conservatives think that sitting back and, just assuming that the America First agenda is going to continue without your activism, think again. Not going to happen. And a lot of Trump's EOs are just one president away from being all reversed unless they're codified. They don't get codified into law unless you have an aligned Congress.
Yep.
I mean, I hate to have a negative crystal ball here, but that could be what we're looking at come January of 27.
Well, we will have the presidency still in January
but if you don't have a
27. They won't
Congress,
have it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all
opportunity to extend
then what are you left with? You're left with EOs, which are temporary. So as vice chair of the Republican Party in Missouri,
we need to.
What do you say?
We need to hope that things go well with that Supreme Court oral argument today on the Missouri First map, that the Supreme Court of Missouri doesn't say that the referendum kicks in and we are stuck with the old map, so that we can send 7, not 6, Republicans to D.C. That's a 2-vote swing that we'd be providing. We need to hope that Alabama follows through and gets one more pickup there. Florida, they just passed their map. There's litigation challenging it, but that's going to be 4 more seats. Fortunately, Virginia, the Virginia Supreme Court put the kibosh on them. But these redistricting gains that we're seeing, Texas and California will cancel each other out. But the rest of the country, if we can hold on to these seats, we can hold on to the chance of holding the House, in which case we can deliver on that America First agenda. Also, it's going to be a big year for initiative petition things to vote on, including initiative petition reform, the Missouri First map, and abortion. So it's going to be a tricky year for our party, but we can do it. We're patriots. We can get it together and make it happen, I hope. Do our bit for America here in Missouri.
Alan asked a very salient question. We were discussing it during the break. Trump and his team say the economy is hot. The market is hot.
It is, yeah.
Brad Jones says that despite the employment numbers looking pretty good last week, he says, well, not so fast. I'm looking here, the economic outlook down by 7, capital outlays down. People aren't, there's problems in the independent business, and that's mainly small business community. So the question is, Trump, Bessent, everyone says it's going great. Look at the markets. How do you feel, Wake Up family member? We're sitting around the table. We're talking about everything from the Cardinals to the Royals to Ahmad Hardy getting shot to the weather's beautiful outside. Hey, I got to mow the grass. Hey, I've got to plant some herbs. You want basil or you want thyme or parsley or all 3? Hey, how about that economy? How's it working out for you? 573-874-9390. 800-529-5572. Where are you right now? Where's your head on the economy? Are you okay with staying the course in Iran, or should we withdraw, let Iran do what Iran does, and hope that the oil flows through the straits? Just if we were to withdraw, like some people have said, and just stop, that doesn't mean Iran's going to say, "Hey, come on through. Gates are open."
It does not mean that.
They're going to charge a tariff on every boat that passes through.
Which, would completely mess up the rest of the world, where we have other straits and things. You have the freedom of navigation.
But I want to know, credit card debt is at record levels. Prices, I go back to this. My daughter tells me, "Dad, I got a deal at the exclusive membership club for only $5-something a pound for ground beef. $5-something a pound for ground beef if you buy a wheelbarrow full. Otherwise, it's $8 or $9 a pound. Ground beef." Where are you on the economy? And do you think that the Democrats, with their leftward progressive AOC punish the billionaire agenda, is that the answer?
Yeah. Do you think people will reverse course and pick Democrats when Democrats don't really have a salient message now?
And did I mention in the latest CPI report that Jennifer brought right as it was breaking during her report, did I mention that wages are down year over year? Or was it month over month? Wages are down. They've been rising, but that's one of the negative report coming out of this latest consumer price report.
And then the long term, like you guys have kind of postulated about, is what does happen if the midterms roll around, the Dems win Congress, and the GOP hangs on to the Senate. How important does that 60-vote Senate filibuster become then?
What I worry about is we're about to have a tsunami of job losses across the country. Women are going to be hit harder than men. Some reports are suggesting.
Why?
Because of AI. And so it's going to happen on a Republican's administration's watch, that we're just going to have
real average hourly
all these layoffs.
Real average hourly wages slipped 0.5% for the month, and annually, year over year, are down 0.3%. You're earning less. You're spending more. The messaging for people who don't think these things through and think analytically coming from the left will be, how's that Trump thing working out for you?
Well, Karen asks, when are we fixing this crazy Constitution change process on the text line 573-874-9390? The good news, Karen, is hopefully this year, either August or November, because initiative petition reform is going to be on the ballot, and we're going to vote on that, and we need to go vote yes.
PT is on the air. Let's talk to PT. Go ahead, PT. Are you there?
Let me preface this by saying I am a Trump supporter.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you two things that have got to change, or we will lose the midterms.
Okay.
Unequivocally.
Okay.
He's got to get back to America and make America great again, like what he campaigned on. Either finish that war in Iran or get the hell out of there, because it's killing everybody on the gas. The next thing they got to do is get back home and start putting these criminals in jail that are stealing our tax dollars. Mm-hmm. I mean, that Minnesota deal, they're just laughing in our face, and the Republicans aren't doing anything. He also needs to kick Toon in the behind and get him out of there, or nothing's going to get done. People like me will vote, but there's a whole lot of conservatives that are upset right now that will sit out the midterms.
And independents.
Yes, and Democrats will vote, and they will cheat on top of it. Yeah. He doesn't do those two things and do them quick. We're losing the midterms.
Now, PT, you sound like you're not a Gen Zer. You sound like you speak from a position of a life well and long-lived and wise. True or false?
True.
Okay. Thanks, PT. Appreciate it. You're hearing the hoofbeats from people like PT that are saying, "Hey, the stampede is underway. Do you want it to go to further the cause, or do you want a stampede to undo the cause?"
Well,
a lot of grassroots voters agree with him.
What do you want Trump to do differently? You want him to get out of Iran, Like,
there's so much that could be done. I mean, they need to break the filibuster. They need to change the health care thing. For once and for all, they need to get the heck out of Obamacare. They need to give people the money. What happened to giving people the money to spend on their own health care? What happened to some real education reform? What happened to some real entitlement reform? What happened to... They're not doing the things that conservatives should and need to do.
they're trying.
I think that, look, I have said it for long. The filibuster needs to go yesterday, and they need to get some stuff done and stop worrying about wringing their hand. Well, if we undo the filibuster, then they can let them if and when they won't be in power if you break the filibuster and do the things that help American people with the kitchen table issues. I've said it for the one thing. If Trump today said, look, I mean business, this is an executive order. I want the Congress tomorrow to break. When you guys go pay cash for your health care, all you people with high deductibles, this is just one that I know well. Here it is. When you pay cash and pay a half or a third the price of the deductible applied price for your health care, when you get an x-ray, when you get a colonoscopy, when you whatever, that's going to be applied to your deductible tomorrow. That's it. Right away, people would go, oh, really? That would get their attention.
Randy, you'd be amazed. I recommend you listen to the Jennifer Bukowski show because I have a golden cabinet segment every show where I look at what every cabinet member has been doing. I just take a look at that just to see what they've been doing. And they're doing so many things all at once to help the American people with cutting regulations, doing things to drill, baby, drill, to make sure that we have these rare earth minerals to keep our country safe. Just it's all to go after the fraud that's rampant throughout the system, to demand like the SNAP list of people to find the dead ones and the duplicates and all these other illegal immigrants, all these other problems with these.
Agreed.
So they're working, and there's a talented team, and I'm grateful for them. It's full throttle right now. They're working 7 days a week, a lot of them.
I don't disagree. But I think what they need to remind the people of is what got him elected in the first place is, look, we're working hard. Here's what's on our bullet list. Ding, 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 ding. Here's why we can't do it. The bureaucrat, the career government unionized official who will not let us do it because they're getting in the way and plugging up the system. Right?
Well, they're changing that up, too.
All right. Well,
OMB director talked
I
to
endorse
us.
him, but he shouldn't be shooting himself in the foot with over-promising and under-delivering. That's the other problem. Don't tell us the war is going to last 6 weeks, and here we are at 3 months. I'm just saying, communication matters. You know that, Jen. Communication matters.
Huh? What'd you say?
Don't over-promise and under-deliver. I promise you that we will be back. This is a promise. Cross my heart with leftovers.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Hey, so I have an important announcement I cannot let go. The show cannot proceed without me recognizing my lovely wife, Helene's birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Helene.
She is. I texted on the group text, the family. It's like, I'm not good at those Facebook posts. I'll put one together, But she is the most patient, nurturing woman ever. No, about birthday things, I just don't.
It's like the easiest thing to ever post.
Yeah, but I can't ever come up with the perfect. I can't ever come up with the perfect verbiage to really.
It autofills it. It's like "Happy Birthday, Helene."
Well, no, but that's trite and poopy.
Okay, then put like a couple emojis. It's not that deep, Randy.
No, well, maybe that's
not like she's your wife.
The very profound Drake Whitman, ladies and gentlemen.
That's it.
How long have you been married? It'll
be 45 years this year.
Yeah, 45 years. Yeah. I don't think she's going to divorce you or be mad.
You're setting a pretty low bar. Yeah, you could definitely be
mad. Let me tell you, there's been times. I have a story we're going to talk about tomorrow, I think.
Okay, well, then you can use me as your scapegoat. Say, Drake said that it's okay if I just put happy birthday with 3 exclamation points and a couple emojis.
I love her dearly, but it's hard for me to find out ways to. You don't really express those things the way you'd like to. I don't know. As guys, we struggle with that. Women do a much better job at that, Don't you think?
I think Drake's future girlfriends are going to, he just said exclamation points, and he's going to have to make some exclamation points. It's exclamation points.
Exclamation
You're going to be doing some explaining to your future loved one if you don't actually wish them a proper birthday.
I have a couple of surprises for her, and that's the best thing I can do is try to do my best.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you don't go and take her out for a nice dinner and actually celebrate her birthday. The Facebook post does not matter, Randy. It's not that deep.
Oh, Drake, my son, you have a lot of thinking to do there. Jennifer, does the Facebook post mean nothing?
See, this is where Brant made a choice to not be posting, so he doesn't have that. If you start it, if you start doing then you have to continue it every year. So it's smart not to.
Well, here's the problem. She's the one that takes all the pictures all the time, and I used to do a lot of that, and then I just sort of got away from it. So I don't have a lot of pictures, but I need to find. I'm hoping the kids will send me some great pictures that I can recycle. But I don't know. It's always tough. But anyway, happy birthday, Helene.
Yeah.
Yesterday was Sammy's birthday, so Sammy and Helene get cheated because with Mother's Day, there's too much going on, and we get us guys. Anyway, we'll have some fun today. And Helene's got the day off in the office. We gave her the day off, so she doesn't have to work.
How about that?
John, what do you have for leftover?
I have the story of talk about being in a hurry for a hoagie. Cops are looking for a driver who crashed into the Kingdom City subway and took off on Sunday. The troopers say they have a, quote, vehicle of interest, but no one has been caught, so I guess look for suspicious people with, I don't know, oil and vinegar all over their fingers or something.
Jen, what about something going on with the Virginia deputy sheriff that you found?
Yeah, well, apparently he has, while being a deputy sheriff, he is making the charts with the Hold the Line, a song that I just texted a link to you guys.
Yeah.
But it's, it's pro law enforcement hit single that's happening, so that's special. Also in Virginia, that Jay Jones idiot that they elected as Attorney General, ousting the perfectly competent Republican incumbent, couldn't spell Virginia when he appealed things to the Virginia Supreme Court. Then he appeals it to the Supreme Court, and he says it's to the Virginia Supreme Court when he's filing in the Supreme Court.
Wow.
This is basic stuff, people.
That's not just a little typo.
That's egg on your face in a major way.
Jennifer, once again, thanks for filling in. Enjoyed
Thank
you. You're on with Gary later, right?
Gary at 10:30.
A little appearance with Jennifer with Gary. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.